Hey everybody, it's Greenwood with another tutorial video. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about Pythagorean theorem and how to go through that process in case you need a refresher or you haven't seen it before. So I'm going to give you basically 4 steps for solving for a missing side in a right triangle using Pythagorean theorem. So step 1 is to label sides A, B, and C. And remember, C is always the hypotenuse. I'll leave a little note there. C is always the hypotenuse. Is always the hypotenuse. That's a number or a variable. Okay, so the important thing to remember there, C is the hypotenuse, whether that's a number or a variable, all right? So in this case, it's a variable. In this first video, we'll talk about solving for a missing hypotenuse. In the next video, we'll talk a little bit about solving for a missing side. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to substitute the values into the formula, which I've written the formula here beforehand. Step 3, we'll do the calculations to solve for the missing side. And step 4, we'll use our scientific calculator through Desmos to determine our value as a decimal. Okay, so let's get started. So here's my example problem. So I've got my 3 sides A, B, and C. So remember that C has to be the hypotenuse, so I always find my 90-degree angle. I like to draw an arrow across from that, label that C. And then my A and my B can be the other 2 sides. It doesn't matter which is which, but one thing that can be helpful to remember is the A can be the smallest side, the B can be the medium side, the C can be the longest side, and that might be a strategy that really works for you, okay? So feel free to use that strategy if you like. Smooth this over a little bit. Okay. So my A I've labeled as 4.8. Now I'm getting on to step 2, substitute those values in. So I've got 4.8 squared plus my B I labeled as 8.2 squared. And then my C here is X. So that's going to be X squared. That's my unknown. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. All right. So remember that squared just means times itself. So if I flip over to my calculator here, I want 4.8 squared. So I'll type in 4.8. This button means squared, or you can use this and raise it to the power of 2. So if I do that, I get 23.04. And then my other number was 8.2. So this was 23.04 plus 8.2. So it's just taking a sec. 8.2 squared is 67.24. So that's in blue, 67.24. I'm using lots of color here to help keep things organized for you as you go forward. And x squared we can't do anything with yet, so we'll just leave that as x squared. Okay, next we want to keep this x squared on the side by itself. So in this case, it's pretty simple. We just add these 2 things together, which you can use your calculator to do, but you should get 90.28, I think. 20, 80, 90, yeah, 90.28 is going to equal x squared. Okay, so remember, squared means times itself. Do we think opposites? The opposite of add is subtract. The opposite of multiply is divide. And the opposite of square, which we have here, is square root. So we're going to take the square root of both sides of this equal sign to figure out from step 3 to step 4. So that means x is going to equal whatever number times itself gives me 90.28. And this is where your calculator comes in. So we're going to do the square root, that's this symbol here, of 90.28. And my answer is 9.5015788816. So this number times itself gives me 90.28, or whatever number's under my square root symbol. So in my class, I always go 3 numbers past the decimal, and you can round or cut off after the 1. So 9.501, or I'd accept 9.502. I like to just cut it off, so I'm going to go to 9.501. And there you go. And that's my missing side. So I can always check myself and say, if this side's x, this is my longest side, is 9.501 bigger than 8.2 and 4.8? And that's obviously yes. So there you go. Now I'm going to give you an example to try. I'll go through quickly on the answer. So if you want to pause the video here once I get these numbers on, you can try it, then I'll show you the solution. And so let's do 7 for this side, and let's do 12.2, and that side's x. And so you go ahead and pause the video, try it, and then when you come back, I will show you the work to get the answer. Okay, welcome back. I hope that went well for you and you feel good about it. So always label A, B, and C. And B is my blue. So always write your formula down first. So in the interest of time here, I just use the colors and run down to weird order. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So my A is 7 squared. B is 12.2 squared. And my C is x. That's my hypotenuse I'm looking for. So x squared. All right, so I know 7 squared in my calculator is 49. 12.2 I don't know off the top of my head. It's 148.84. Okay, equals x squared. A little cramped for space over here, aren't I? And then I'm going to add those two things together since the x squared's already by itself over there. 197.84 should be that answer. Here's my x squared. And then we need to square root both sides. And so the x should be whatever the square root of 197.84 is. I'll run back to my calculator, 197.84. Square root 197.84, 14.065. Or 14.066 if you rounded. 14.065. And there you go. And then check, is this bigger than both of the legs? 14.075 is bigger than 12.2 or 7. So there you go. Hopefully that one worked out for you and hopefully this helped. And let me know if you need anything. I will see you in the next video. Bye.